Okay, so we're recording. If you kind of want to just go up and sort of walk through the process, if that's okay, because I see we're on task 5. If you don't mind going a little bit higher so we can walk through, I can really kind of walk through this. Okay, great. So let's go all, is this all the way?
Yeah, this was, I kept
Okay,
everything
right there.
from practicing. I mean,
Mhm.
I needed to, write everything out so I could start remembering what to do.
Yeah. So here's what I really wanted to bring up. So in order for us to use this library, we have to first import it. Now, typically, whenever we, not just like a typically, this is a coding dojo thing, this is sort of an industry thing. Anytime we import NumPy, we could just say import NumPy and that's fine. But we can create a shorthand name for NumPy. In this case is NP. So this could be anything. This could be unicorn if you wanted it. It could be cupcake. Industry standard. I like to say those two because they're kind of outlandish. Industry standard, though, and we're going to have a couple of those when we deal with pandas and we deal with matplotlib and Seaborn. Industry standard for NumPy is NP. So get used to saying NP, NP for NumPy. So great job there.
Yeah.
Now, what we're doing is we have this price array, and this is actually really a list. In Python, this is a list. In JavaScript, it's called an array, but don't get caught up on that. When we deal with NumPy, it's called an array, so it's a little bit confusing. If I say array and list, just know that they're the same exact thing, same exact complex data type. And what this does, we're going to talk about these today, is it allows you to do multiple values within what we call, again, a list. So because it's separated by these square brackets, I can put different things. These are just numbers. I could put strings. I could do different things within any sort of Python list. In this case, I have integers. Now, because I've imported NumPy as NP, I can say price array. I'm now creating a NumPy array equals NP. I'm referring to my NumPy. This is a class, my NumPy class, and classes have what we call methods associated or functions or abilities associated to it. The way I like to think about it is, let's say we have a class of a dog. The methods associated to it is, well, what does a dog do? Maybe we would have a bark method that when run, it prints bark. Maybe we have an eat method, right? What are the actual functional things that a dog can do? That's basically what's happening here. This NP is, you sort of represent our dog in this case. This is our class. And then this is what it can do. It's got a method called array. And what that method does is it takes in a list, in this case is price, and converts it into something called a NumPy array. Now, the reason we do this is because if I wanted to add these two together, if you guys haven't already gotten there, because they're currently just in a list type, if I wanted to add them together, I can't. But I can't do any mathematical sort of equations or anything to it. NumPy converts them into what they call a NumPy array. And so under the hood, it's just stored and operates different, has different things that it can do. So now if I wanted to add or multiply them together, now that they're a NumPy array, I can do that. Does that make sense? Any questions there? Because I say price quantity sold array, and this is really important, equals np.array quantity sold. This array right here takes on the values of this class. So now anything that NumPy can do, because this is a NumPy array, I could say, I'm just going to do shorthand, but know that it represents this variable. I could say, I'm going to say QSA for quantity sold array dot. And now I have access to every method a NumPy item can do. So if I say round, I can do that, right? Because our NumPy has a round method associated. I don't have to say np.round QSA decimals 2. I don't have to do that because that, I mean, I can, it would work, but just knowing that our Q, that's not a great Q, QSA represents, and it is of type NumPy, therefore it has access to all the methods. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I didn't get that from from the reading today.
Yeah,
Thank you for emphasizing.
yeah, of course. Of
Mhm.
course. So then now, as I do that, I can use any sort of methods. And if I look at the NumPy documentation, then I can say, oh, there's a dot round. And there might be some issues to where if the value you have is of type float. So in here, even though this is a list, all of these can be a different value, right? So we could have 2, 1.0, 10, to where these guys are going to be what we call an integer. And then this guy, because it's a decimal, we're going to go through all of this today. So if you're lost, do not stress. We're going to go through all of this today. And this guy is a float. So I can have multiple data types. So if I do run a dot round, one thing to know is I don't have the ability to do a dot round. Sounds so stupid because you're like, what? Why else would I want to do a dot round? But on a float. That's where I have to say round. And then I pass in the value. And then I give a comma and I put the numerical value of how many decimal points I want after. And then it runs this function. It passes in the value that I want to round, the argument of how many decimal points, and then it spits out this answer. How many people are confused? In the chat, if you're confused, put a 1. And if you're not, put a 0.
Confused. Not too confused yet.
Okay. Miranda, no worries. No worries. We're going to figure it all out. We're going to go through. This is what we're going to do. Think about this is the next class. So we're going to get a good foundation today, really understand what the class is going on and sort of what's going on with the class and what data types looks like and everything like that. And then we're going to come on to NumPy arrays next. But don't worry, there is plenty of help, and I am available to help in any sort of way. So if that didn't make sense, that's okay. But did that help, Shanika?
Yeah, I saw the you know, I Googled to try to figure out if there was another you know, is it a method? Is that's called the RAM? It's called a method?
Yeah, so
but I just didn't know how to put it in the code to get it to work, but I'll play with it some more.
Yeah. So it's a dumb naming convention, but any function associated to a class is technically called a method in Python. But if it's not associated to a class, it's called a function. But they operate the exact same way. Just one's associated to a class, one is just like some random function.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You want me to stop sharing?
Yeah, sure. That'd be great. Thanks. Thanks for sharing and being a little guinea pig for us. Anybody else have questions on that?
No.
Never now? Awesome. Does everybody have access to Discord, and does everybody have the class schedule? Did you guys get that, guy?
Yeah, I have it via email, but I don't know if it's posted on Discord or not. I think it's probably just that link up top. I think it's like that pinned message up top.
On Discord, yeah, there's a fundamental schedule. So if you click that, that is going to get access to our entire class schedule.
Okay. Cool.
I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.